We are live. Thanks for tuning in to Step Back 3 Sports Podcast. I'm here with my co host, Shawn.
Hey guys, what's going on, man? Joe, thank you for having me as always.
So, we're gonna start talking about the disappointing game by the Lakers tonight. So, Shawn, what is your take for
Uh,
tonight?
for, First off, I just want to give a huge shout out. It was obviously a disappointing loss for the Lakers here, but overall, quick shout out to Jimmy Butler. What a game! What a performance! 40 points. If I'm not mistaken, I think it's the first time in actually NBA Finals that someone had a triple double and came out with the win. So that's huge. I think it's a statement win, obviously, for Miami because they were down. They didn't have Bam Adebayo. They didn't have Goran Dragic as well. So they were a little bit shorthanded. Huge win for them. But as for the Lakers side of things now, I would like to see them get AD more involved because throughout this game three, he's only had 9 shot attempts. So that's something you gotta, improve on. I think LeBron needs to involve him more, not just, like it's good to have Rajon Rondo involved as well, but you gotta include your big man AD as well. Get in the groove of things. He needs to feel like, he's a part of this as well. Um, but it's a pretty disappointing loss for the Lakers, I feel like. But I think that they might bounce back because Jimmy was talking, his stuff. He was talking with his stuff after the win, and I think LeBron saw that. So I think LeBron's gonna be a pretty motivated player heading into Game 4.
I know, and he was saying like you guys are in trouble, and we both
Yeah.
know that the only team that's in trouble is the Miami Heat.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
I I knew I knew AD was in foul trouble, but he should have just told him, "I'm gonna carry you guys." But he didn't do nothing, man. He had like
Mm-hmm.
15 points, 5 rebounds in the NBA Finals game. That can't happen.
Yeah, and like you want something like you said, you point out what Anthony Davis did in Game 3. If he wants to be the true number 2 guy, and with everyone's talking about they're arguing whether or not AD's one of the best duos, that LeBron had in his throughout his career. And if AD wants to if he wants to put himself in that conversation, he's going to need to stay out of foul trouble and perform at his highest level. Because, like you said, that's unacceptable. You can't have 3 personal fouls in the first half. That just can't happen. I don't care. I don't even care who the player is, if you're a star or not. That just can't happen. You can't. You're basically putting your team. You're sending a message to your own team, being like, okay, now, we might be shorthanded. You might actually end up fouling out of this game somehow. So that's something you got to improve on. And I think the Lakers will. I think AD knows he's a professional. He's a really good player. I think he will have a bounce back Game 4. And I think LeBron will definitely feed him a lot more. I think he wants to get AD's confidence up a lot now.
I know, but for AD, you can't be called a superstar show up small in the finals.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Yeah,
that
I'm
was
not putting
his
him. I'm
chance to
not putting him
like
in the superstar conversation yet.
I know he wants his max money like this like after the season, but you
Mm-hmm.
can't because you saw this season there was a lot of games. That game against Toronto Raptors, he scored like 12 points. So there's a lot of games where he was in single digits.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't be a superstar being second fiddle to someone. That
Yeah.
too.
Now I want to ask you this real quick, Joe, because it's been like a really like I had this debate with a lot of people already, and who do you think? has been LeBron's best partner in crime? Do you think it's Kyrie Irving? Do you think it's Dwayne Wade? Do you see the potential in Anthony Davis? Do you think that could be it potentially? Who do you think it is?
Like, like overall,
Like
I would
overall,
say
like
Dwayne
partner in
Wade.
crime. Like who do you think it is? Yeah,
I think it's Dwayne Wade.
Dwayne Wade. Yeah, it was a
Like,
it was a toss up between Kyrie and Dwayne Wade for me.
yeah, but I don't think, because Kyrie, man, you know how he is now. He's a
Mm-hmm.
horrible locker room player, and he was good offensively, but defensively, he wasn't that great.
Mm-hmm.
Wade was playing defense. He even carried LeBron in the 2014 finals.
Mm-hmm.
Dwayne Wade carried the Miami Heat with LeBron. AD has the potential, but he's not there yet. Even if they're in the finals, I don't think he has the potential. But right now, he's not, man. Because you're in foul trouble. You're supposed to be like, Coach, trust me, I'm gonna
Mm-hmm.
get this win. But he took 9 shot attempts, man. Imagine,
That
imagine if LeBron took 9 shot attempts. How much he would get? He would be on
yeah.
the news, man. If LeBron James took 9 attempts, and you
Man,
can't give
you're right.
and you can't give Anthony Davis a pass. It's the NBA Finals. It's not a exhibition game. But what about you? Who do you think?
Well, you want something?
What about you? Who's your LeBron's best?
I'm gonna agree with you with Dwayne Wade because when you mentioned a great point because when it comes to Kyrie Irving, you know how he is as a player now in the locker room. You know he's an overall. I guess you can say he's a cancer in the locker room. Like he's not. That's what it feels like right now. But no, but as close, LeBron and Dwayne Wade, that bond, the friendship, it's not even just a friendship. They're basically family. That's how they've been throughout their Miami days. So even you throw in Chris Bosh, going major flashbacks to the big three down there in South Beach. But man, oh man, seriously, like I don't even think it's really up for a debate. I don't even know why I was thrown into that conversation. But like you said AD has the potential to be that guy for LeBron. He could be, when it's all said and done, we could definitely argue about this again. Who's LeBron's best partner in crime? But as of right now, it's definitely Dwayne Wade.
And don't get me wrong, man. Kyrie Irving is probably the best shooter that LeBron ever had.
Oh yeah. See, like when we're getting into now, we're getting into a whole different conversation. Now we're talking about better overall shooter. Oh, definitely. We're talking about Kyrie. Great ball. The best handles, the best handles in the freaking league. You know when it.
Whoa, 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 whoa. No, he doesn't have the best handles.
I
We
think he
know who
does.
has the best handles.
You're gonna say Steph Curry,
Between yes,
but did you see? But hold on a second. Okay, no. The reason why I say Kyrie Irving is because you see how he went up against Steph Curry in the previous finals in their matchups.
yeah, I'll give you that one because Curry was scared to defend Kyrie because you know how Clay was was guarding Kyrie.
Mm-hmm.
It was never well, it was Curry, but he didn't do a great job. But Kyrie was guarding Curry, and he did a horrible job.
Mm-hmm.
But like, I still got the Lakers winning the next two. I think
You.
Miami Heat players were getting too cocky just
Mm-hmm.
because they won one game.
Yeah, you
But I hope
saw.
Bam comes. What was that?
No, I was just gonna say, you saw Tyler Hero, his little smirk that he had after he made that reverse layup late in the fourth. He had that like look. I was like, okay, hold on a second. I'm like, you guys only got one game, but hey, the reason I can't really blame Miami for reacting like that because at the end of the day, how shorthanded they were, and I think just about everybody not basically counted them out. Prior to Game 3, a lot of people are just, oh, this is leaning towards a sweep. It looks like it went from Lakers in 6 or Lakers in 5 or 7, whatever you had them originally in before the season. Before the series started. But you were probably like, okay, now we're heading into Game 3. Heat are shorthanded yet again. It looks like okay, the Lakers. It's basically over because if the Lakers definitely win Game 3, it's 3-0. What are their chances of coming back from that? Slim to none. So for Miami just to get get the winning Game 3, I think it's just huge, and I think they had every right to react. How they did.
And don't get me wrong, man. It wasn't just Anthony Davis.
Mm-hmm.
It was like everyone was like not garbage, but they weren't just in the game. Probably the only player that was in the game is LeBron, who shot
Mm-hmm.
9 for 14. And same too, LeBron should have took more shots because we
Yeah,
all
look.
know if LeBron starts being aggressive, it's gonna be over for Miami Heat.
Mm-hmm.
We both know that.
Yeah. Yep, I think just about to be honest with you, as soon as LeBron gets going in Game 4, I think the series is now, the Heat obviously they won tonight, so they're somewhat back in it. They're making things interesting, but LeBron, I think will go up 3-1. I think he'll have a major game, and I think he will involve Anthony Davis a lot more, and overall, I think we'll see a much better performance from AD. And as moving more along in the series as well, I would say my original prediction was the Lakers in 6, and I'm still standing by that. I think the Heat could actually pull out one more win in this series. I'm not gonna, especially if they could get Bam back. You know, if we don't know the status of him just yet, but if they could get at least Bam back, I think they'll put up a fighting Game 4 if they get Bam back. I think it'll be really interesting, but overall, I think the Lakers definitely win Game 4, and I'll give the Heat the win in Game 5 if it comes down to that where they get Bam back around that time.
And that's pretty sad because Dragic is a key piece for the Heat too.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't that's why like I think Lakers are winning the next two. It will be
That's fair
close,
enough.
but Lakers, and I'm pretty sure AD is not having the same game, the same defensive game that he was playing.
Mm-hmm. No,
Because
he.
where was Danny Green? Because where was Danny Green, Alex Caruso? Like, where's all these players?
Mm, that's a good point. No, but that's another thing that this team needs to work on is a 3-point shooting as well because I want to go back to I'll even go back to Game 2 real quick because the amount of opportunities that Danny Green had behind the 3-point line and like they were like decent. Like he had some open shots. I think he had at least like 2 or 3 open shots late in the fourth or late in the third or whatever it was, and he just flat out missed them. And I was like, really? I was like, this team needs to work on 3-point shooting. Seriously, like that was like a little concern for me. But for the Lakers, that's the thing though. They don't have to be that sharp of a 3-point shooting team, because they have the bigs to, back that up. They have, Dwight Howard, who's been a big factor throughout the playoffs so far, and obviously Anthony Davis, who's obviously been, we talk about him enough. But seriously though, with their bigs, that's how they, that's their basically their answer to back off of their 3-point shooting.
Yeah, like it was close, but the problem in game two was Jimmy Butler was being too passive until the
Mm-hmm.
end. He started being aggressive.
Yeah, that's the thing with him though. Like Jimmy needs to continue to be aggressive. I know he loves to share the ball with his teammates, but they need him even though they need him to put up, have a really good game again. Like nothing like I'm not saying, put up 40 points again in game 4, but they need him to have a decent game where he shares the ball as much and he still has a decent amount of scoring himself because if he continues, let's just say if he's still passive, you know, then like I feel like then that's exactly what the Lakers want. They want him to go back to his passing ways now. And if he does that, then I think the Lakers will definitely win game 4 because or even that might be the series. Matter of fact, because if he doesn't stay aggressive, probably the series might most likely be over.
So, but let's move on to you want to do NFL or NHL?
We'll, I'll go with NFL.
I well, well, you can start.
Okay. So now you're gonna hate me for this, but let's. I gotta get right into it. Gotta get right into it. Joe, you gotta you need to answer one of my questions here, and it's gonna be what the heck is going on down in Dallas?
Man, I think we don't have. First of all, we don't have the right coach. Second of all, I think Dak is throwing too much, man. I know he's breaking records,
Mm-hmm.
but we have the best running back in the NFL. There's nobody close to him right now.
Mm-hmm.
Ezekiel Elliott is the best running back in the National Football League, like hands down. And I know he has struggled a lot, but man, he's getting like only 15, 16 carries a game.
You need to include him more in your offense, and you want something to back off what you're saying is that he's passing too much. I'll tell you why, because now this is how Mike McCarthy works. Because I feel like he leans more heavily in the passing game more, and the problem with that, I shouldn't say it's really a problem, but like you guys have 3 receivers. You have I think you have a decent trio as a receiving core. You have obviously Amari Cooper, the rookie CD Lamb, who's having a great year so far, and Michael Gallup, of course. How could I forget about him? But no, but seriously, with the receiving core, they just it's really tough. Like when you have a receiving core like that, it's hard on Dak to who's he targeting the most, who's he going to share the ball with. And that's something you guys are gonna have to continue to figure out. Like who's gonna get the amount of catches and targets. Who's that number one guy in that offense. But for Dallas, just to go back to what you said with Elliott, they need to give him the ball, give him more carries, and feel like he's more included in the offense as well. Because if you don't involve a dynamic running back like Ezekiel Elliott, then this offense is definitely in all sorts of trouble because you need to get the running game going as well, not just the passing game. And I understand that because I think he's passing the ball a lot just because of he's kind of putting on a show. Don't you think he's putting on a show for Jerry Jones to say, "Hey, man, look what I'm doing. I could, even with the weapons you give me, look what I'm doing. Now it's time to pay me." So I don't know if it has something to do with that. It might, but what do you think about that, Joe?
Oh man, I don't get me wrong. I love it. I'm enjoying it because when he joined the league in preseason, everyone thought that he couldn't throw, that he's not in the right system. But look, 3 weeks in a row, he has thrown 475 yards.
Mm-hmm.
That's no quarterback has ever done that in
Nope.
history. Yes, I like the Dak attack, but you know which rank are we in defense? Second to last.
Hmm.
And as a Cowboy fan, that is embarrassing. But tonight, what I want to say that have we have good fight in us, and not a lot of teams have the kind of fight that we have. We're resilient. We didn't give up. We were up 31-15 or 14, and we cut it to three. And at the end, we just made wrong decisions, and we couldn't get it done. And Odell
Hmm.
Beckham happened, and that sucks for a Giants fan.
Like myself, like myself. But no, but I want to get more into just breaking down your defense because heading into the season, you guys on paper we're going to be one of the most really I feel like you're supposed to be one of the most like threat defenses, like especially your pass rushing was supposed to be pretty good, but in these type of games that what they've been putting up, the amount of points that's been scored against this defense, as a Cowboys fan, Joe, how nervous are you about this defense, especially this pass rush? Because it feels like they're just they're hit or miss. This defense, it feels like.
I know it's horrible, and there's two things. We should be 4-0, and we should also be 0-4.
Mm,
If you look up in first game, we lost a close one, and we got a bad call like
mm,
towards us at the end. Game two, you know what happened. Game two, game three, we almost had it against the MVP Russell Wilson, and now this game should be an automatic win. It's against the Cleveland Browns. And I know the Browns are a better overall team this season, but we're the Dallas Cowboys, man. So it
that's the
was
question I want to know.
horrible, but I'm that is horrible. But what we have is what not a lot of teams have is resilience. We play until the whistle blows. Doesn't matter if we're down 20 touchdowns. We will continue playing. But it was a bad start because you
Mm-hmm.
know Dak first play he got sacked right away. So I knew it was gonna be like sorry for my language, but I knew it was gonna be a shit show from the start. But we didn't give up, and that's what I'm happy about this loss, that we didn't give up. But it was a really disappointing because man, if I watch the whole game and I can see that the defense is giving up on each play, bro, each play, and
Mm,
Baker Mayfield was a money. He
yeah.
was doing whatever he wanted to do,
Mm-hmm.
and
And
we
you,
couldn't stop Kareem Hunt, man.
oh my
That was
God.
the one player that was coming off like a bad season last year,
Mm-hmm.
so we couldn't stop him. But
Yeah, he was.
I still believe that the Cowboys are gonna watch film, man, for sure, because our defense this afternoon was garbage, garbage, man. And
Yeah.
we will not win another game if we give up like 30 points again. I'm disappointed, but I'm happy that we have a fight in us, man.
Mm-hmm. Well, you want to know something,
And
Joe?
don't get me
Here,
started with your yeah.
here. I'll say this to you real quick because about the see. Here's the thing. You're playing my Giants in Week 5, so that's a game where you guys should get your confidence boosted a lot from that game. Because the Giants are all in a bunch of different shambles right now. The only thing that looks, promising right now for the Giants is their defense based off how they performed against the Rams. They had a decent game. The pass rush was, they got to golf at times. They were pretty good. But that's my keys to see improvement in them. But at the same time, their O-line is still garbage. It's still a problem for Jones, and Jones been he's been turning the football over a lot this year, Jones, and it's quite concerning, with him turning the football over, and it feels like it's not just like turning it over. Like it feels like at times he's really like careless with the football. And at this point of his career, you can't be careless with the football, man. You just can't. Especially, and what's scary
I know,
about this.
and I was gonna say that you guys don't have Barkley now.
Yeah, that's a huge loss. Huge loss. They had to pick up Devontae Freeman as their, running back. They had to get somebody. You just couldn't roll out Dion Lewis and Wayne Gallman because that's not going to do anything for you. You want to know something? In the NFL, you even know this, Joe. You need to have a 1-2 punch in your backfield. You cannot just rely on one running back. That's just me. Because, even back, I'll go back to when the Giants were in the Super Bowl. They beat the Patriots. They had, guess who they had? Ahmad Bradshaw and Brendan Jacobs. Two, ground and pound running backs. That's what the Giants need again. They need, two good guys in the backfield. Just relying on Barkley for all this, taking on the heavy workload. You can't expect that for him coming off of a torn ACL. You can't expect that, man. And with this O-line, too, if they're going to continue developing this and getting guys throughout the draft, next year it's going to be the same results because you're adding guys from the draft. And those are young guys, inexperienced at the NFL level as well. So, you got to get somebody else besides Barkley in that backfield for sure.
But I have a serious question.
Mm-hmm.
Who's gonna end up having their first win? The Jets or the Giants?
It's going to be the Giants. And because I believe they're going to get their win in week 6. They're home against Washington, even though it doesn't even matter because at MetLife Stadium, there's no fans this year. So it doesn't even matter who's home. But no, but the Giants, I think they will beat the Washington football team in week 6. That'll be their first win because the Jets, their next 5 games are really hard. I don't know all the teams off the top of my head, but I know they have Kansas City in that mix. I believe they have New England in that as well. They have a bunch of teams that are like, oh my goodness, their schedule is really hard the next 5 games, man. They have a good chance of going 0-9, the Jets. They really do. It's
Man, that
scary,
team's
man.
been
It's bad.
horrible. But as of right now, who's the MVP for you?
The MVP for me right now is Russell Wilson, and it's not. It doesn't even take me long to answer that question because this guy has been an absolute goat this year, man. This guy, let me tell you this. I think it was it last week? Did he play last week it was Sunday Night Football last weekend, right? Against New England?
No, against Cowboys last week.
Oh, it was 2 weeks ago then. 2 Sundays ago. It was against New England on Sunday Night Football, and he threw to, I believe he had 5 touchdown passes to 5 different receivers. Just the amount of guys he includes is key, and I feel like he's having one of the best seasons of his career so far, and I think he's gonna be MVP this year. It's such a shame because this guy never gets any sort of consideration. I don't know if you know this, Joe, but here's a fact that he's never got a single vote in the MVP conversation in his career. You believe that? Not one.
I know, man.
Not
That's why
one.
he. But you might say Russell Wilson, and I agree with you. But you have to know that there's a comeback quarterback, Green
Mm-hmm.
Bay, who's killing it as well.
Mm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But but Rogers, we expect of him of
Yeah.
that since his injuries. But Russell Wilson, man, has been balling out. But we need to see, man. We need to see if he can get it done in the playoffs.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, man. And I want to see that's the thing though is getting it done in the playoffs because I feel like especially on Seattle's sides of things, is their defense enough? I don't think they have enough in their secondary. You know, yes, they got Jamal Adams in the off season in a trade with the Jets. You know, good addition for them, but they need more on their defense as well. I feel like Russell Wilson can't do it all. He's only one person, so that's something that Seattle needs to improve on. But for Green Bay, if they want to go far in the playoffs, they need to their receiving core needs to improve a little bit too because they have Devontae Adams and Alan Lazard, who's been a decent number two option for to complement Adams. And I feel like Green Bay needs another guy. Like that's the thing with this year in general. I feel like the NFL trade deadline looming around week 8 around there, they need to pick up another receiver. I feel like Green Bay, they just need somebody. I don't think Rodgers has enough guys.
But is Devonte Adams, is he out also next week?
He's questionable for tomorrow against Atlanta.
Well,
We're
I don't
not.
think he. You think he'll gonna play or?
I'll say this is that I know for a fact that I don't know however you're gonna take this, but he's only gonna play if he feels 100%. So if he's 100%, he's playing. That's it. If he doesn't feel 100%, he's not because that there's been talks about this all week, and he says if I feel 100%, man, then that's it. Then obviously I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go. But if he doesn't feel right, he's not gonna go. But I personally, I think that he will be a go going up against the Falcons because I do think it's kind of I guess I would say it's an important game for Green Bay because of Chicago lost to Indianapolis, so that's a chance for them to capitalize in the division standings as well.
That was a shocker though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was.
Like the 49ers, they're supposed to lose, man. They have so many injuries.
uh, you're making me feel even worse about myself right now because the fact that the Giants lost to freaking Nick Mullins, they lost to Nick Mullins and freaking the practice squad. They freaking lost the reserves of the 49ers. Really?
But man, we're here talking about the Cowboys, the Jets, the Giants, but we're not talking about the horrible start in Houston.
Oh my God! Jeez. Excuse my language. What the hell is going on there? Like that you want to talk about a dumpster fire? That that's kind of a dumpster fire situation because like it I'm just confused about it in general as a football fan. This guy Bill O'Brien is not the right guy in Houston. Whatsoever for Watson. He takes away arguably one of the best receivers in the game, and he takes that away from Watson. And he brings in David Johnson, who's an injury-prone running back, and David Johnson. Don't get me wrong; when he's healthy, he's a good running back, but I just don't think that was. I still don't think that was the right move for Houston because like their answer to getting rid of Hopkins, their replacement is like, okay, we got Brandon Cooks now. Cooks is nowhere close to any sort of level with Hopkins. So like, what's your answer behind that? Okay, oh we have Will Fuller. Will Fuller, that guy's in. That guy gets hurt all the time too. And could you really count on him? And then who's next? Like really, like that who's after that? What Kenny Stills? Who is there in that offense?
Man, I could say the same about the Miami Dolphins. They have a but yes, they're 1-3, but they have no names. Like the only player that's someone is their quarterback.
Their quarterback and Devontae Parker too. That
Yeah,
that
that
that's their receiving core. Devontae Parker and company.
and they also have Miles Gaskin as well,
Hmm.
and Mike Kaziski.
Yeah, they have a good young core. The team. I think Brian Flores is doing a decent job developing these guys because hey, why was that game so close against Seattle? You know what I mean? Like I feel like this team is actually competing. They're competing a lot more than any New York football team besides the Bills could say. The Giants can't say that they're really competing at a high level. The Jets certainly can't say that they're competing at a high level. So for Miami to, especially going up against Seattle, that I got to give them props so far. Obviously their record doesn't show it, but they're definitely a team to watch out for in the near future.
But I don't think so, man. Like I, I'm gonna be honest with you, the Dolphins' schedule is probably one of the easiest one. The only teams that they're gonna face that's an automatic loss will be the
Uh-huh.
Patriots and the Chiefs.
Mm.
Cause look, next week they play the 49ers, Broncos, Rams, Cardinals. They play Jets back to back, Bengals, Chiefs, Patriots, Raiders, and Bills.
Hmm.
So if Ryan Fitzpatrick carries them, they have a chance to probably make the wild card. And that I know that sounds like crazy, but
You there, Joe?
yes, I'm there.
Okay. No, because you were cutting out at first. I wasn't sure. I didn't catch that last part. What you were saying.
Well, I'm looking at the standings now, and I think that I think the Bucks, man, has a chance to. Well, the Bucks, they don't have the easy division because there's the Falcons, Panthers, and the Saints.
Hmm.
And I think the easiest division we all know is the NFC East.
Yeah, the easiest and it's the easiest division in football, and it's the worst division in football from you know, it's it's just like the teams in there. It feels like it's always a seven-loss team. That's what we might get is another seven-loss division winner. That's a possibility this year.
Oh yeah, because Giants on 4, Cowboys and Washington 1-3, and the Eagles 1-2 with the
The
tie.
hey, the Eagles are not as good as a lot of people are expecting. The Eagles. They're like, oh, they finally got a win. This is their chance to carry out the NFC East. Let's not get too far ahead
Back
of
for the
ourselves,
Eagles.
people. Philadelphia is not that good. They really aren't, man. They just because the way they play, they almost lost to a backup, actually, no, a third string quarterback to the 49ers who just came in late in the fourth quarter, CJ Beathard. The guy was like, I think he was like 11 for 13, and he had like 130 something passing yards, and he just came in late in the fourth quarter, and he almost marched down, almost tied the game, but they just fell short. But still, for him to come in the game like that and almost like walk it off against Philadelphia, that would have been crazy if he did that. But the Eagles are a concern still.
Yeah, how a couple of years ago everyone said Carson Wentz is the top quarterback in the NFL, and I told them no, man. He only had one good season,
Yeah, you're
and
right though.
Nick Foles. I'd take Nick Foles any day of the week over Wentz.
I think some Philly fans are starting to think that now.
Man, they're moving on from Carson Wentz.
You see what they're doing? They're trying to involve Jalen Hurts more in that offense. They're trying to get him, used to the NFL game, and slowly but surely they're starting to pull away from Wentz. If he keeps on continuing to play at the level that he's at right now, he might be looking for a job on another team.
But who do you think right now the best team in the NFL?
The best team in the NFL. You got to go with the as of right now. You got to go with the defending champions. You got to go with the Chiefs right now. They're a force in this league. You can't screw around with these guys. Pat Mahomes, he's just, what could you say about him? Like, just watching him, man. Whenever he, goes on that field and he's in that huddle and he breaks out of it, oh man, it feels like games, it's a wrap. It feels like this guy is just unstoppable. His sidearm throws, the guy's as consistent as it's gonna come. And Kansas City overall is just a great powerhouse team that's just gonna haunt you and harass you in every aspect of the game. That's what it feels like. And like, even if as an opponent going up against them, even if you think that you have momentum and you're like, oh, we're up on these guys, we got them right where we want them. Mahomes in the back of his head is like, just no, I got you right where I want you. And then that's when he does his thing and just comes down, marches down the field. You see 60-yard passes, TDs to all his receivers. You see that all day to Tyreek Hill, to McCole Hardman, all those guys. It's like they're a really fun team to watch, and I think they're the best team in football.
I agree, but I think the Ravens can have a chance to block out all the noise because everyone was saying that Jackson is not meant for playoffs, and you know what happened last season.
Mm-hmm.
But I think Jackson is ready. Lamar Jackson is ready to take this team to the promised land. And don't forget, man, there's still Tom Brady's Buccaneers, Aaron Rodgers. I could say the Cowboys, but unless they prove their defense, they're not going anywhere.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you on something too. That's something we got to talk about too, real quick, with the Bucks, because what about that game? They played the Chargers today, and the rookie Justin Herbert looked really good for the Chargers yet again. But Brady just came back. I think he had what, 5 touchdown passes in that game against the Chargers. It was a crazy comeback.
It was, but everyone's keep underestimating Tom Brady. And that's which is very annoying. Like, he has proven to everyone that he can still play football.
Mm-hmm.
But the one player I need to step up is Gronkowski.
Yeah.
Because he hasn't done a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
But do you have anything else to say about NFL?
Um, just real quick, actually, I wanted to say when you were talking about Brady, don't be surprised. You know how we all know about Brady back in his Patriot days when he faced Mahomes in the AFC Championship game a few years ago. But could you imagine a Super Bowl between Pat Mahomes and Brady's Bucks? How funny would that be to see a Super Bowl matchup of that? That's something, everyone's like, don't, count out Brady. You could say the same thing about Pat Mahomes. Don't count him out as well. He's another guy that you just can't doubt. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see a Super Bowl matchup like that. But I'm really hoping, I'm rooting for Seattle to get there this year. I would love to see Seattle get to the Super Bowl and face either Pat Mahomes or Lamar Jackson.
I know because right now Seahawks are 4-0.
That's my Super Bowl prediction. I do have Seattle coming out of the NFC, but you never know what Brady has to say. Brady might have something to say. Drew Brees might have something to say this year. Rodgers might have something to say. So we'll see how it plays out.
But I don't think Saints are not what they used to be.
Their secondary they need to improve, man. They was banged up today. They didn't have Marshawn Lattimore today against Detroit. They didn't have Janoris Jenkins as well. I feel like they've had too many penalties in that secondary. They gotta improve it.
Man, the Cowboys secondary is embarrassing. Is horrible, man. Bro, JJ Watt is talking about having a change. We need a change too.
Mm.
But man, this is the problem. You can't go on the media and say we need a change. You're the defensive player of the year. You're the leader of that team now.
Yeah.
That doesn't do motivation for your young guys in Houston. Because what if you were JJ Watt? Would you go on the media and say, "Oh, we need a change. We need a change of scenery"? No,
You
man.
want
You
no.
you you work things out, man. You don't go
Mm-hmm.
on social media and start yapping that you need a change.
Yeah. To this point, you want to know something? This is how you at his point in his career, as a professional athlete like him, he should even know better. You know what I mean? Like as a professional athlete, it's like you know how to attack your own business. If you feel like you need to change your scenery or something needs to be changed throughout the football team, you talk to the main guy. You talk to Bill O'Brien. You talk to the reps. You talk to the owner. There's other ways to communicate besides going out on even social media saying, "Hey, I want out," or things you need to change here. You could just, or without going to the media, you could just talk one on one, talk to your coach, and talk to the front office and figure it out and be like, "You want something? I'm really frustrated the way where we're going, what direction we're going in as a football team. We need to change things." And I'm getting older as a player and I want change here or I want just a change of scenery.
But like example, 2 years ago, I'm
Mm-hmm.
talking NBA, when LeBron was with the Cavs his last year, they were getting blown out by Phoenix, the Kings, and he can go on social media and say, "Oh, we need a change." When you're a leader of a team, you talk with the manager, you talk with your head coach, with all your players. You be like, "I'm the leader. I will help you guys get to the finals."
Mm-hmm.
And at that time, people were saying LeBron was getting old. But now, JJ, he's getting old too. But he can still play defense. So I think he should close his mouth and be the leader of the Houston. And I know they did a horrible trade, but it's the sports is a business,
It is.
and you gotta work things out.
Mm-hmm. And you couldn't word that any better, man. And when you mentioned LeBron there, he's that type of guy. He's behind the scenes. Regarding that, when like yeah, okay, obviously, I hate to bring this up all the time on J.R. Smith, but I'm gonna do it anyway. When he
Ah,
no, but like no, seriously, he will show his frustration out on the floor with obviously he did against Golden State, and we won't relive that whole thing, but he was just yelling at JR, being like, "This man, you gotta be more aware of what's going on in the game." But you want something he does. But here's the thing, though. He didn't go on to media talking smack about his own teammate, his own friend. I'm sure he just had a one-on-one conversation about him. Just be like, "Hey, man, just gotta be a little more aware of of the situation, what we're dealing with in this type of situation before the play goes down. You have to have that in your head as a player. That's it." That I'm sure that's how the conversation went down in some type of regards there. But seriously though, you can't go to the media and be like, all right, I want out. I'm so done with this team. You just can't do it, man. You really can't.
Because, man, this is not what J.J. Watt said, but that's what he was trying to say. And you gotta show example to the young guys.
Yeah.
But because, man, there won't be another Derek or another Kobe or players that stick with their team their whole career.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, you're 0-4 and your team's garbage, but you just gotta grind it out. You can't run away from the grind.
No, you can't.
The same thing like with Paul George, man. All these players, they got drafted by like a garbage team, and when they keep losing, what do? They don't resign. They
Mm-hmm.
request trades. Man, I won't be surprised if JJ Watt gets traded.
Yeah, it would. I would be absolutely shocked to see this guy traded, especially at the point where he's at in his career now. I would be really surprised if he gets dealt. But it throughout this year in 2020, anything's possible. So like, the guy that you don't expect to get traded, he might get traded somehow. You never know.
I understand, but enough of NFL. Let's talk NHL, and I've been waiting to talk about NHL for a long time. Well, before we start, I want to congratulate the Tampa Bay Lightning for winning the Stanley Cup. But man, even though I don't count this as like a real Stanley Cup win, because there's no fans, they don't play in their actual arena, and a lot of people decide not to play. So it was like a bunch of stuff, but I still want to congratulate them for playing great. And don't get me wrong, I'm not forgetting Dallas Stars. Man, Dallas Stars surprised everyone.
Yeah, they did. And you want something? I want to congratulate the Lightning as well. Even though it's not your ordinary crowning of the Stanley Cup, you it it's like this is a type of championship that you'll never experience again. You know, in this what we're living in, you'll never. At least we hope that we'll never experience something like this in our lifetime again. But it, I appreciate the way Bettman set this whole thing up. Like I'll admit originally I wasn't too fond of the format because I thought that he included too many teams. Like I didn't think like Minnesota belonged in there. There are a few teams I didn't think should have even been coming to the bubble and playing. But it actually ended up making it some really exciting hockey overall. And we saw a lot of great goaltending performances. We've seen guys like Thatcher Demko for Vancouver come out of nowhere. Where the heck did that guy come from? We seen who else? Who was the backup goalie for Hutchinson for Colorado. He took over. He had a decent series as well. He had a few games that he did pretty good. Corpusalo for Columbus had a good postseason.
Oh,
Obviously, who else? That historic game, that overtime game. Corpusal had like 80 something saves in the game.
oh wait, I understand, but like the Habs, man, they were 10th place. Like the Blackhawks, and it's not just a knock because Penguins left or Edmonton Oilers left.
Mhm.
But man, they're 10th place. They don't deserve to be in the playoffs.
Exactly. That was my problem with it. Like they had teams like Minnesota in there, Montreal was in there. that I thought they weren't even going to make it, like as an 8 seed. They who else? Mm, like I don't even, to be honest with you, who even knows? Like it was up in the air with my team, with my Rangers, whether or not they would make it as an 8 seed. But they end up they end up getting swept anyway, so they went home pretty damn early. But
I
but
know, but don't get me wrong, man. The Rangers weren't playing like the how the Rangers play.
no, that time off really hurt them. You could even see it. They just didn't look like they were ready for it.
And I think the time off hurt everyone.
Mm. Yeah,
Example, Steven Stamkos only played what, one game?
yeah, he only had that. You want something too? That was his goal. I remember hearing that as Tampa Bay was moving on into the deeper rounds on their way to the Stanley Cup, that was his goal, is to get into a game and try to be a factor and help the team in winning the cup. And he ended up scoring a goal in the game that he played in. So that was cool to see.
But I want to talk about the Leafs, man. Like the question I have is why would you put your three best players all in one line?
Mm.
And that hurt everyone because there was no chemistry in the other line.
That's the thing though. That's the problem. That's what Toronto needs to fix. Is that they can't have their three best players on one line. You need to spread it out, and that's how if you put if you separate your stars, and let's just say you put one guy on the second line, you need to build chemistry throughout all four lines. You just can't put everybody on the first line and be like, okay, let's go for it now. Let's go. The roster is a lot deeper than that, than a first line. You need to have all four lines good, have good chemistry. And my main question with your Maple Leafs is that what is going to happen with Freddie Anderson this offseason? There's a lot of rumors with the goalie market, whether if whoever's a free agent this year or on the trade market. Is Toronto done with Freddie Anderson? Are they looking for somebody, or are they going to ride out with him another year?
Man, I think they should keep him because he's been carrying, not carrying, but he's been the only player that's playing his best. Because there was not one blame towards Freddie, even if they lost 1-0 on home ice. They just couldn't score, and the reason was because they had the three best players all in one line. Like example, you don't see Penguins having Malkin, Kessel, and Crosby the whole game. Like they didn't even switch shifts, man. It was those three players on one line. But there's gonna be a lot of free agency and draft is coming up too.
Yeah, I think it's Wednesday, right?
Yeah, and I feel bad for Ottawa.
You want to talk about a team that got completely screwed out of this whole return to bubble thing is Ottawa, because because of the how Bettman decides to say that, okay, all these teams, whoever, and it's so funny. It's like how if you lose the qualifying round, you get the same amount of chances as a team that was originally tanking and had a horrible season like Ottawa. Ottawa must have been like, what the actual F? Like, seriously. I don't even know if I was an Ottawa fan. Oh my god, I don't even know what the heck my reaction would be. I'd be like, I'm so done. Like, seriously. Like, how did the Rangers end up getting the first overall pick? A team that went to the qualifying round in the bubble. They played inside the bubble and they end up getting the first overall pick. Like, what? That doesn't make sense.
I know it was everything was man. All of this COVID-19 stuff, it ruined everything. It ruined our lives, everything.
Yeah.
But before we end this podcast, I want to ask you:
Mhm.
is Giannis Antetokounmpo a superstar?
Oh yes, 100% he is. He just needs a supporting cast, and like that's something Milwaukee is seriously gonna have to figure out this offseason because he's a free agent after the 2021. During the 2021 summer, I should say. So Milwaukee, the clock is kind of ticking. Their move is now whether or not they should go out and get a point guard like a Drew Holiday type or go after a Chris Paul from OKC. They got to get somebody. They got to have a better supporting cast than what they have because Middleton and Bledsoe's not cutting it right now. Having Brook Lopez, those guys are just not cutting it right now. They need another guy.
But somebody sent me a message and said that Giannis right now could be better than Shaq in Orlando.
Mm. Wow.
Because man, uh, Shaq was playing with Nick Anderson as they had, you know who they had like their superstars,
Yeah.
but the second guy was Nick Anderson, and
Mm-hmm.
some guy be like, Chris Middleton is better than Nick Anderson, but Chris Middleton didn't do nothing in the playoffs, especially the only time he did something was in Game 5, in Game
Mm-hmm.
4 and Game 5. But the series was over, man.
Yeah.
But you might think Giannis is a superstar, but I don't think he is yet. Cause you can't be a back-to-back MVP and get bounced by playoffs,
Mm-hmm.
but by people exposing your defense.
That's no, that's fair enough. Those are good points, man. I definitely see your side too. I'm not gonna even argue your side because you mentioned some good points, of course. I just think that he's a superstar right now, but at the end of the day, like you only could say this so many times. The guy can't do it on his own. Like this team seriously needs to get a supporting cast for him. Like I don't know how many times I could say it. It's it's like even the coach, Mike Budenholzer. He needs to be a better coach because I feel like he shut down. I feel like he had some brain farts throughout the bubble. like I think the team needs some roster maneuvering for sure.
But I like when LeBron failed in the 2011 NBA Finals against the
Mm-hmm.
Mavericks.
Yep.
What did he do the following like uh, the following 7 finals? He changed his game
Mm-hmm.
because against Dallas he was shooting jumpers. He was scared to go to the free throw line. He was scared to drive, and he used that horrible finals as motivation. Because man, the Bucks were up 2-0 on the Raptors last season,
Yeah.
and you let a 6'7" guy switch on you, and that changed the whole uh, Eastern Conference Finals. And this year they got bounced by the Miami Heat of all teams, and everyone was surprised because Miami beat them in the regular season.
Mm-hmm.
But man, you can't be a back-to-back MVP and get bounced in the playoffs the way. Like, if you get bounced because someone else, I get it. But if you get bounced by your game, because people are exposing you, I don't qualify you as a superstar.
Fair enough, man. And you want something too? And I'll say this as well because as much as I said that they need to add another guy for him, it's not just adding another guy. It's the fact that he needs to improve his game as well, and he needs to. And like what you're saying on your side of things right now is that he needs to make that next jump he needs exactly. I love when you bring up LeBron in this case because he improved his game. Coming off a finals loss, look what he did for the rest of his history. What he's done, after that loss. So you gotta change. You gotta change your game. You gotta improve your game. You gotta do something as well. I'm not gonna put it all on just the not the lack of talent on the team. It's just that he needs to become a better player, overall player, team player as well too.
Man, it doesn't matter if they get Chris Paul or Bradley Beal. You're the superstar on this team, so they will focus on guarding you.
Mm-hmm.
Chris Paul's gonna do his thing, or Bradley Beal, or whoever they get. But Giannis Antetokounmpo has to change his game just a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
because you saw how he was exposed worse this year than last year.
Yeah.
Like, at least last year he got his rebounds, his points, his blocks, but against Miami he didn't get nothing, man.
Mm-hmm.
And that frustrates not just me, but as an NBA fan, back to back MVPs. And I'm not saying he should average 60 rebounds or no, man. He needs to play to win, not set himself to failure. Because that's what he has done, man, the last 3, 4 years.
Do you here? Let me ask you this real quick. Do you feel like him staying in Milwaukee for the for the long term? Do you feel like that's gonna mess up his career, or do you think that he's fine in Milwaukee where he is right now?
I don't, I don't like that squad. It doesn't look right, man.
Yeah.
Because Eric Bledsoe, what, what has he done, man? Nothing. Chris Middleton is inconsistent as every year. And you
Yeah.
got Brook Lopez shouldn't be out there shooting threes, man. He should he should be setting picks and driving. Cause you know what Brook Lopez did in Brooklyn? He averaged literally 19 and 10. But next question I have for you: What should Paul George stay in LA or should they trade him?
Ooh, I like this question a lot actually because there's a lot of drama going over there with the other LA team with the Clippers here because they moved on from head coach Doc Rivers. Now he's the Sixers head coach. Um, but to get back to your question, I you want something? I think Paul George. I think they should hold on to him for another year because I feel like I it's a tough situation because it doesn't look like he was really up to par inside the bubble. He didn't feel like his normal self. I think at one point he even said that it had something to do with like his mental health or something. Something was going on with him. So we don't even know exactly what kind of Paul George that we got down in Orlando. But I think for next season, I would like for him to stay with Kawhi for one more year and see what happens there. But the Clippers kind of screwed themselves in a way because they dealt all those draft picks just to get Paul George. So for them to get a third guy, like they would have to part ways with. They would have to probably package up a Lou Williams. Who else would you have to package up? Possibly at Patrick Beverly, you might have to package up in a deal to get somebody that you want as a third star to complement Kawhi and Paul George.
Yeah, I agree with you, but their chemistry there, the communication is bad. Because
Oh yeah.
you saw some teammates were like talking smack to Paul George, like after the playoffs. You saw Montrezl Harrell unfollowed. I mean, he followed the Raptors. You got Williams not happy with the team. But it's not just Paul George and Kawhi. It's everyone was playing like shit.
Yeah.
Like they go on huge leads and then they stop playing. But they need to do one move. I think they need to do one move. Cause man, they you know how many players that they have traded for PG in the last 2 seasons
Mhm.
since he was on Indiana? 4 players and 6 round draft picks were involved.
Wow.
And everyone was saying playoff P. Bro, he plays one good game.
But we haven't seen a consistent playoff P. You want it, so it's like we haven't seen that yet. So for him to get that nickname, we need to see consistency from him. But like you said, I'm not gonna put it all on Paul George. You can't just put on all on one guy. You gotta. It's the same thing for everybody. I gotta say the same thing about Kawhi. I gotta say the same thing about Lou Williams, etc. But when you have a guy like Montrezl Harrell right now, who's a free agent this offseason, or even if it's up to you if you want to even call it an offseason because we have a few months and then the season's supposedly supposed to get started in January. So it's up to you if you even want to call it an offseason. But so it he's gonna walk away. Like I don't think he's resigning back with the Clippers. I think he's going obviously elsewhere because the chemistry I think between all the players weren't the best. So they have a lot of improvement on that end. Now they need a new head coach. Who the question is, who is that going to be? Um, we'll have to wait and see who that's going to be overall.
But do you think Doc Rivers had to get fired?
I don't think I don't think he had to get fired. I don't, to be honest with you, I wasn't even a big fan of that. Like, if you asked me before it happened, I had one of my friends asked me. He was like, "Do you think Doc Rivers should get fired because of this?" And I'm like, "This, why is that even a question? This guy is one hell of a coach. I don't think he should get fired for this." I'm like, I give him another year, and it's so fun. It's so funny how he ends up getting fired a few days after someone mentions the topic to me. But I was so shocked. I don't think he deserved to get fired from that. I think it was just being up. What obviously killed him was being up by 3-1 against Denver and obviously blowing the series lead and losing to Denver and watching them advance to the Western Conference Finals. But at the end of the day, a coach, he can only say so much, and at the same time, he can't help you as a coach. Sometimes you can't help the chemistry between your first and second option. It. He probably. I know. Doc is a really good coach, and it's probably been tough for him to get what everyone's likes to call Paul George here playoff P. It was probably been a really hard time for Doc to get him going overall. So those are those are really some hard shoes to fill for LA. I'm gonna be waiting to see who they hire because it makes me wonder how much better they're gonna be without him.
And I agree with you. Doc Rivers is uh, probably a Hall of Fame coach, but he won one title, and he has a history of blowing leads.
Yes, he does. Mm-hmm.
But I don't think he deserved to get fired. But something had to be done, man.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny how everyone said Clippers, 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 and then you end up losing to Denver Nuggets out of all teams. And don't get me wrong, man. Jamal Murray and the Joker are probably next up and coming duo.
Oh yeah, 100%, man. Those two guys were on a whole different level in the bubble. Jamal Murray, oh my God, he you can't I can't even describe it. He was just overall a great player for his team. And Jokic, man, on the glass, he was a huge threat. And huge shout out to them because that's the team out there in the West that I feel like no one talks about enough. because of the lack of roster depth that they have. They say like, okay, the only veteran really there's Paul Millsap, and then they're like, then you have a bunch of younger guys. You have an inexperienced Michael Porter Jr. You have other guys that are inexperienced, so they're running Denver off already. So, just to see them go far and have an amazing comeback, 2 series in a row, do it against Utah and do it against a bigger dog in the Clippers was pretty amazing to watch.
I know it was amazing too. Plus, Jamal Murray doing it for Canadian basketball too.
Yeah.
But anything else you want to ask?
I think we covered a lot. I think we covered just about everything.
I know, but thanks for joining me. We'll do another one sometime soon.
Oh
But
yeah, sounds good.
and thanks for everyone that's watching and that's been tuning in. My name is Joe, and this is my co-host Shawn.
Hey man, thank you for having me, Joe. I really appreciate it, man. I'll definitely love to come back on again soon, man.
No worries. And we signing out. Peace.
See you.